Hello and welcome to this week's Women's Football Chat, which is being recorded earlier than usual because of me going away. My name is Chris Gadsby. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. I bring you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football. Now, once the season gets started, that means all of the results, all of the fixtures and the latest league tables. But throughout this off season, we've been talking a bit more about women's football in general, and we will be chatting over the next couple of weeks to a few people from these teams that have joined the FA Women's National League next season, and that starts later on in this episode. But first, as I said, because I am going away, I'm pre-recording this episode a bit earlier than normal. It is the morning after the night before, the night where women's football and football came home to England. The Lionesses beating Germany 2-1 in extra time at Wembley last night, on Sunday night, whenever you're watching or listening to this, to win the Women's Euros for the very first time. Absolutely brilliant game, brilliant tournament. The third highest attended women's football game in Europe this year, behind a couple of the Barcelona-Real Madrid games. They aimed to sell 500,000 tickets when this was first announced, and they ended up selling 570,000, so well over their target as well. And it's just been a terrific tournament, really, capped off in the most amazing fashion for the Lionesses. Not going to talk about the game too much, because by the time this comes out, it was almost a week ago, and many other people have done much more analysis than I'm going to be doing here. But I'm just going to talk a bit about the aftermath of the game and what hopefully that will mean going forward for women's football in this country. And they kind of summed it up brilliantly on the BBC, but I would go a bit further than what they said. And of course, I think my BBC colleagues did a really good job of covering the tournament. But the one thing that stuck out to me was particularly at the end there, where they said, get yourself down to a WSL game and watch some women's football. And I remember thinking at the time, yes, that's great. Go to a WSL game, support women's football, but there is more to the women's football pyramid in this country than just the WSL. And I know that I am preaching to the converted here on this show, because if you're watching or listening to this, it's because you have an interest in the third and fourth tiers of women's football. But I think there are only 12 WSL teams in the country. There are 12 in the Championship as well. There are 72 in the FA Women's National League. So the chances are, and I know it's not going to be the case for everybody, but the chances are is you are closer to an FA Women's National League side than you are a WSL side. And yes, obviously more money at the top will eventually filter down. But if you go and support your local Women's National League side, or your Women's Championship side, or even the side in Tiers 5 and below, that will help the sides much more in the short term than just going to see WSL games and then waiting for that money to eventually filter down. As I said, I know I'm preaching to the converted with this, but if we can spread the word as much as possible, the FA Women's National League, 72 sides, 6 great divisions, and hopefully we can get more people into National League games as well as games in the top 2 tiers. Right, well, that's my kind of Lionesses and hopefully getting more people into the FA Women's National League. If you do want to try and encourage more people to go to the FA Women's National League games, if you're listening to this, then if you head over to the YouTube version of this, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see already that away there to my right-hand side, on the right-hand side of the screen, is the club map of where all the sides in the FA Women's National League are located. So you can find ones that are close to you, go onto their websites and get involved with your local Women's National League side, whether that be just going to the games, which of course is what they would absolutely love, But if you go to the games and you enjoy it, get in touch with them and get involved with the clubs. I had 4 great years at Forest Women, doing the stadium announcing, doing commentary, getting to know the team and the players, the off pitch staff. And it's it's only work that's stopping me from doing that now. But you can get involved with your local side as well. If you want a bit more detail than just what this map shows me away to my right hand side, go on the Talking Woso website. That's Talking WOSO website. You can find them on Twitter as well. That's their handle. Because Craig there has done a map similar to mine, but in much more detail with mine on Google, which has the exact address, postcode, all the rest of it on there for you. So you can find the exact details of where your team plays, and there'll be links to their websites where you can find out when they're playing as well. So if you see a team that's close to you on that map, head over to Talking Woso, give them a follow on Twitter as well, and you'll be able to look at their map to find your local FAWNL side. Right, speaking of news then, we're going to go more into the monetary side of things, because in the last week it has been announced what the prize money allocation is for the Women's FA Cup for this upcoming season. Now, you'll remember from probably a couple of months ago now, we spoke about the announcement that there was going to be more money. We now know what that breakdown is from round to round. So we've got 3 rounds of qualifying, then we go into the rounds proper. We've also got the list of exemptions as well, about when each team will come into the competition. I'll talk about that after I've covered this. So it has increased. Now we'll start from the final. So the winner of the final gets £100,000 now. It was just £25,000 last year, so that's increased 4 times. The semi-final winners get £50,000 as opposed to £5,000. That's a tenfold increase. Quarter-final winners £25,000 as opposed to £4,000. 5th round proper £20,000 as opposed to £3,000. 4th rounds proper £15,000 as opposed to £2,000. £10,000 for winning the 3rd round as opposed to £1,250. £8,000 for winning the 2nd round as opposed to £1,000. First round £6,000 in comparison to £850. 3rd round qualifying £4,000 as opposed to £600. 2nd round qualifying £3,000 as opposed to £450. And 1st round qualifying £1,800 in comparison to £400 as it was last year. Those are for the winning clubs. It's up for the losing clubs as well. And for the losing club in the 1st round qualifying, this is how much it's changed. The losing club in 1st round qualifying now gets £450. If you'd lost in the 3rd round proper last year, you got £315. Now, don't forget that the 3rd round proper is your championship side. So they're not necessarily having won games before then. Now, I know they get more money as a whole, but the point I'm making here is that if you come in 1st round qualifying now, you get more money for losing that game than a championship side would have done for losing their 3rd round game last year. And we know that did happen. Remember when we covered it last year. So it is definitely moving in the right direction. Now, there is still a big disparity between the women's and the men's. I think the men's purse has increased by about 4 million this season. The women's has increased by about 2 million. But, and I see a lot of people on Twitter saying they should be exactly equal, etc., etc. And yes, I do agree with that to an extent. However, you've got to build this up, and the women's game will get there eventually. The counter argument for the equality is a valid argument in that obviously the men's game brings in a lot of TV money, a lot of sponsor money, and everything else, which the women's game at the moment doesn't. Not to say it won't in the future, but at the moment it doesn't. and the money reflects the money that's coming in that can then be split to the clubs. So when the women's game gets to the size of the men's game and the women's competition gets to the size of the men's competition in terms of the TV audiences, the TV money, the sponsorship, everything else, then we can see the equal money coming between the men's and the women's game. There's got to be a case here of not expecting everything in one go. You've got to build up to it, and it is clearly going in the right direction here from the FA towards the women's game. It will get there eventually. It's just going to take a little bit more time. Now then, we have the exemptions from the FA about the format of the FA Cup this year. So we know, of course, that there are going to be, you've got your 3 qualifying rounds, and then from the first to the 5th round proper, quarter-final, semi-final, and final. So that way is the same as the men's. There's the same number of rounds. So from a 3rd and 4th tiers point of view, the 4th tiers, that's all the Division 1 sides. So your Division 1 Midlands, North, South East and South West. The 48 clubs in that enter in the 3rd qualifying round this year, which is the same as what they did last year. And then 24 clubs from the Premier Divisions, so that's obviously the North and South Premier Divisions, they will enter in the 1st round proper. And then when we get to the 1st round proper, so they will enter in the 1st round proper. We'll play the 1st and the 2nd rounds. We will then be down to 28 sides. 28 sides from tiers 3 and below will be in the 3rd round, which is when the championship sides come in, which will take us up to 40 teams. They will then have 1 round there to take us back to 20. And then in the 4th round, the Super League sides, the 12 Super League sides come in. That takes us to 32 again. And then we go down 16, 8, 4, 2 to the final. So 28 sides from the 3rd tier and below will be in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. Again, what that means is great for the pyramid, because there are only 24 sides in the Premier Division, which means we are guaranteed at least 4 sides from 4th tier or below in the 3rd round of the FA Cup, which is brilliant. Because even if all the Premier Division sides get drawn against each other, we will guarantee to have these 28 teams in the 3rd round, and there are only 24 3rd tier sides. So it's going to be great for the pyramid. We know last time we had Clapton Community from the 7th tier through in the going deep into the competition. Stourbridge beat Derby last year. There was another 7th tier side who I must apologise because they completely escape me at the moment. They had those sides going through into deep sides in the competition. So it's going to be great for the FA Cup, and we're looking forward to those dates. Now the dates have, I believe, also been revealed, but I think there was a bit of an error in there. Let me just get those up. Yeah, so the dates have been announced. So the 1st round qualifying is taking place on the 11th of September. 2nd round on the 2nd of October. So the 3rd round qualifying, which is when the tier 4 sides come in, that is on the 23rd of October. So that's the date for your diary for it being covered on this show. 1st round proper, the 13th of November, which is when the Northern and Southern Premier Division teams come in. 2nd round proper at the end of November. The 3rd round proper with the championship sides, the 11th of December. That's the game that everybody wants to get to. The 4th round proper, where the Super League teams come in is the 29th of January. So those are the dates for the Women's FA Cup. And that covers the news for this week. So we are now going to go into our interview for this week's show. Now, this week, you may remember last season after their victory against Derby, I spoke to Mike Harris from Stourbridge about the club. Well, Stourbridge are one of the sides that got promoted into Tier 4 next season. They're going to be in Tier 4 Midlands. So I had the chance to catch up with him again. So next portion of this show is a catch up with Mike Harris of Stourbridge Women as they look ahead to the new season. Mike, great to chat to you again. It's been a few months and a lot has happened for Stourbridge since then.
Yeah, great to see you again, Chris. I think we spoke last time after the Derby game, and that was a whirlwind enough as it was. But it's great to be able to celebrate an amazing season. And I think, you know, if we'd have just beaten Derby and that was the end of the season, I think we'd have been disappointed not to win the league after having done so well. So we're delighted to cap the FA Cup run off with the league trophy too.
Yeah, I mean, having a look at it, I mean, we spoke that round was kind of October time. I mean, looking at it, the last league defeat was the 10th of October to Sutton Coldfield, if I remember, and you just went on such a run. I mean, kind of you look at the league table, kind of almost comfortable in the end, 10 points clear at the top, but I bet it didn't feel that way for a long time.
No, it was a grueling season. I mean, we played, I think we worked out about 37 games with your county cups, your FA Cups, your league cups, and we genuinely considered not taking part in the League Cup because we were just, the squad was jaded. They'd done so well in the FA Cup, and mentally it took so much out of us. And then we got to the semi-final of the County Cup, which was the best run we'd ever had in that competition too. So it challenged us in so many ways that we didn't expect. But it was just an unbelievable season. I look back at it and we had some incredible games. You know, you speak about the Derby one, but you know, there were games where we played the Crusaders and won 1-0, and that was a really important win. Kitty Harriers right at the start of the year too. We only won that game 2-0, but it was 1-0 for a good period of the game. So there were some really difficult days, and we had to work really hard with the squad to keep them going and keep them fresh. But they're unbelievable women and just powered through and achieved unbelievable things.
Yeah, it's not often, just looking at the league table now, that the team finishing top of the table has a goal difference more than double better than anybody else in the team second. I mean, your goal difference of 115 is just remarkable, particularly over 22 games.
Yeah, I'll say it again. I mean, the girls are just unbelievable. They train so hard. They do all of the right things. There's real competition in the camp too. I mean, we had 19, 20 players that we could call upon at any point last season, and that was brilliant because we had some big injuries and all sorts going on. And you know, you can see there the amount of goals that have been scored, but what that doesn't give you the picture of is how few we conceded and how brilliant everybody was at defending the goal. And we're just really proud of it.
Yeah, and into the new chapter now, into Tier 4, the FA Women's National League. So plenty of new challenges, new grounds to go to as well. I mean, how have the squad rose to the challenge over the summer and pre-season starting?
Yeah, so Andy kind of hit the nail on the head. You know, we're not coming up to make up the numbers. We've got a group of really ambitious girls and really ambitious players, and the club is ambitious. And Andy and I don't know how to stop and how to sit and enjoy things. So, you know, we've been really active this summer, and we've had a great summer in terms of bringing in some fresh faces, but also keeping all of the important faces we have. I think there's a real delicate balance when you get promotion of, yes, we know we need to strengthen the squad probably a little bit because we're going into a much tougher league, but actually at the same point, you know, what happened last year wasn't an accident. We have a ton of ability in that squad. You know, we upset Derby and Derby a phenomenal side and you know, look, we don't claim to be as good as them, but we felt like because we had a good day, we're on the way or we're pretty close. So I think a few new faces has done it great. And we said goodbye to some people who wanted to go on their journey in different directions, and that's absolutely fine. And and they're happy, and that's the most important thing. So we're really excited. Just some of the names in the league are fantastic. To see Northampton, who did so well in the FA Cup as well, come up and join us, and to be able to play against clubs like Lincoln and Sheffield and Donny Bells of all their history, for us is exactly where we want to be as a team and a club.
I'm going to say, your teams such as Lincoln, who obviously had all that history, that moved to Notts County and all the rest of it, and there with Doncaster as well, those teams that you get to come up against now, obviously finishing above the top two is obviously the primary objective there. But as you said, you're very ambitious. What are you hoping for next season?
I think this is a group of girls who don't really know how to lose games. I think we as a group of people, we've turned up and expected to win every single week. I think that's a tough habit to crack. We'll see where that takes us. I think the biggest thing for us is clever early targets and betting ourselves in the league. And you saw teams that started really well in the National League, in October were flying, actually ended up having a difficult period over Christmas. So I think the big thing for us is learning the league a little bit more, learning kind of where we're at and how do our players fit in the league, and does our style fit? Yes, it worked in 5, but is it going to work in 4? And how is it going to look? We've got the National League Cup to think about, and you've got, there's going to be changes to the County Cup this season, we're told. So I think the big thing is we want to have a great August and see where it takes us. And there is nothing to say that we haven't got the opportunity to go and do what we want with the league. But I think we're on a fact-finding mission first, and kind of got to find ourselves a bit.
Yeah, and you get that opportunity of being in the league. You touched on it there with the cup, where you will get the chance to test yourself against higher opposition in Tier 3 in the cup and in the County Cup as well, because it's not the easiest county to be in the County Cup of. Let's be honest, but you're going to get a great opportunity to test yourself against higher teams, and presumably, beating Derby last season. Yes, it was a one-off game, but it does give the squad confidence that you can mix with these sides.
Yeah, we're in an amazing place where nothing feels unobtainable. And even though, we played Sheffield United at the back end of that run, and I think if you'd have told us a year or two ago that we'd bring a championship side to the War Memorial Ground and only lose 3-0 and have a really, we had a massive chance just after half time to get a goal, and the defender fell into a block and the ball was going to the bottom corner. And it was just if it had gone in, the game was completely different. I mean, it was just an amazing moment. But for us, we're just going to keep pushing on, and even your Boldmeres of the world are inspirations, and they're not a big name in the world of football. They're not a Premiership or a Championship club. They're like us. They've got a they're a non-league club. They're incredibly ambitious, and they've done really well. And we feel like there's something there that doesn't feel out of the bounds for us. It doesn't feel ridiculous for us to go, actually, when we turn up and play your Boldmeres, your West Broms, your Wolves, your Nottingham Forest, your Derby counties next season, that we can't go toe to toe and pinch some significant results. It just feels like the Midlands women's football is getting more competitive, which is brilliant. Like you say, we've got an incredibly difficult County Cup, but at the same point, it has massive pulling power as well. When we played Wolves 3 years ago, there was 500 people there, and that can only be a good thing for the women's game on top of everything else at the moment. So really exciting season ahead. Yeah,
absolutely. And hopefully the coming straight off the back of the Women's Euros, which is being so successful at the moment, will get people through the turnstiles at all levels, particularly, as we said, an exciting time for Stourbridge.
Yeah, I mean, we're really fortunate. I say fortunate. Our media team do so well. The club have been unbelievable. We will be playing every single one of our home games at the main ground next year at the War Memorial Ground. Both first teams get the same treatment on match day, so you'll be able to buy tickets online. It'll be turnstile, stewards, the whole part. It will be run in exactly the same way that our men's side is run, which is brilliant. And we have a great following. We averaged 150, 200 people at certain games, and that's always been the case. And Sheffield United, we have 400, and in other FA Cup games and cup runs in previous years, we've had several hundred people turning up. So we're in a great position. It's great to be able to bring the people of Stourbridge National League football and some really some big names and some serious outfits down to the War Memorial. And like you say, the National League Cup, same again, could bring more of those opportunities. And how great would it be to see a Newcastle United or a another big name from the National League pyramid at Stourbridge.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's look at the fixtures next season. Couple of tough games to start with: Sheffield away and then Lincoln at home. But I'm interested for you, which was the first game that you looked out for? Like, Forest and Derby will always just look straight for those games against each other. What was that first fixture you were looking for?
Yeah, I mean, we were desperate. We were desperate for the War Memorial games. We absolutely love playing there. The goals have been brilliant. The only team that they've lost to at the War Memorial in the last 3 years is Sheffield United. So, for us, we knew Lincoln and Donny Bells were going to be a serious outfit, and there were some huge names attached there. So to see Lincoln, second game of the season, first home game of the year at the War Memorial, we were absolutely delighted with that. And we tend to start very well. We tend to start quite strong. So for us to be able to land, with a massive August in front of us, if you come away with even 6 points in those first 3 games, you're in a really strong position. And, September starts to look really promising. So I think for us, the Lincoln game at the War Memorial was really exciting. Obviously, Sheffield have just had a manager change as well, and Graham stepped down, and the guy who was involved in Long Eaton's gone there. So, it's an important phase of the season, and we had a massive game against Lichfield, second game of the season last year. We won 1-0, and actually in the grand scheme of the season, that was a really important fixture. So we're not underestimating how important that Lincoln game could be in the grand scheme of the season, and to have a test like Sheffield to prepare us for that first is fantastic.
Yeah, it's tough start in the sense you've got 3 away games in the first 4, and you finish the season with 3 away games as well. So that's 7 of your 11 away games 12 away games straight away in there. So you've got a lot of home games kind of in that winter period. How kind of are the facilities at the ground with regards to dealing with the cold weather and all that? Are you confident that you'll be able to play as scheduled and keep the fixture kind of steady and ticking over, rather than what we saw last year where some teams didn't play for a month, 6 weeks, and had to cram them in at the end?
Yeah. I mean, look, we're really lucky. We've got great people who work at our ground, and they do some fantastic work. And even in some of the difficult periods last year, I mean, we brought Sheffield United in during one of those periods, and we were obviously conscious of bringing such a fantastic club to a fantastic outfit, and making sure that the pitch was fantastic. But the guys did an amazing job. They always do. I've never seen that many games postponed. There was 4 teams playing on that pitch last year. There's now 3. One of them is us. So it'll be well looked after, and it's a fantastic ground to play on. It's a great little ground, and we're really proud to play there, and really excited to bring all these clubs to the War Memorial and see it for themselves.
Yeah, no, it should be a very exciting season. I'm sure yourself and all the fans are really excited just to get that first whistle blown and get the game underway now.
Yeah. We always get edgy during pre-season because we're ready to go, but it's a really important time of the year. The girls are working really hard. They're doing all of the right things. We've got a nice trip to Aberystwyth this weekend, so we're going as a group, a first team and a reserve team, and going and getting some minutes down in Wales, but gelling the group together too, which is really important. They're such a good group. The social part and kind of the togetherness off the pitch, we think is one of the biggest things that carried us through last season. And it was so important that we were so together in those difficult periods where we were tired and the season was going on and on and on. And no, we're in a great place, and we're really excited to get going. But we know that these next 5 weeks are really important to us. So.
Yeah, well, best of luck for the new season. I know myself and a lot of the viewers and listeners will be keeping an eye out on Stourbridge, one of 8 new teams in the division. Great to see so many able to come up, and hopefully a fair number of them, if not all of them, will stay up as well.
Hopefully so. Thanks again, Chris. Great to chat. Take care, and hopefully we'll talk again during the season.
A huge thank you to Mike for chatting to me once again here on the Women's Football Chat. And that will do it for this week's show. Thank you very much for watching and or listening. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, it's available on the move on the audio streaming services of Amazon, Spotify, Google and Chatbox, this show. So you'll be able to listen on the move. Don't forget to keep supporting your local women's football side. As I said at the start of the show, so many clubs around the country which would all love your support. Thank you very much for watching or listening this week's show. I'll be back next week. I've got 2 interviews for you next week for you to look forward to. Thank you very much for watching, listening this week's show, and goodbye.